Hi everyone, welcome back to Almost Normal. Yesterday I got home from school. It was just a regular Tuesday. Nothing out of the ordinary had happened. I went to class, came home, had some dinner, and then I went upstairs to get ready for bed. And as I was getting ready to go to sleep, I started to notice that I was getting really hot, which is not unusual for me. As someone with anxiety, I just get random episodes of overheating all the time. But I then started to notice that my hands were shaking. Like every time I tried to pick something up, I could not stabilize the product. It was shivering about. I then looked in the mirror and my face had gone completely white, completely ghost white. You couldn't even see any pimples on my face because there was just no blood to make any of them red. All of the blood had just drained completely from my face. And then my eyes had dilated so much that they were just black pupils. And I was looking in the mirror and I was this shivering ghost with black eyes. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening? I then started to notice that I could not stand on my feet properly. I was so wobbly and unstable. I just felt like I was going to fall over. So I just lay in bed and I thought maybe my blood sugar was low or something. I asked my husband to get me something with sugar in it to eat because similar symptoms happen when I get low blood sugar. So I asked my husband to go downstairs and get me something sugary to eat to see if that would make me feel any better. It did not. And I was in this weird out-of-body experience for about an hour, I would say. I was just lying in my bed. My mind was flying about all over the place. I felt no control over my body. I literally felt like I had floated out of my body and I was just looking down on myself. It was the strangest feeling ever. And as someone who has experienced very few panic attacks, but I have experienced some, I would probably say that what I was experiencing last night was indeed a panic attack. And I have not had a panic attack in years. I think the last time I had one was when I was drinking alcohol, and it was very much brought on by no sleep and a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol and a lot of anxiety about the things that I said and did. And anyway, I just don't believe that I have experienced a panic attack for years. And so last night was super out of the blue. It was also very much out of the blue because in that moment where it came on, I was literally just standing in my bathroom alone getting ready to go to bed. Nothing stressful was happening. I was not in a stressful situation. I was not thinking about anything stressful in that moment, which is why initially I was like, this isn't a panic attack. Maybe I'm just hungry or something. When I woke up, felt much better. But it really started to get me thinking, what brought that on? What was the cause of this very random, out of the blue panic attack? I've gone through stressful things in my life as a sober person, and nothing has caused such a aggressive reaction in my body before. An event has happened in my community very recently that I think has thrown me through a little bit of a loop. I don't want to go into detail about what it was, but, it affected someone who I knew and I saw around my campus a lot, but I did not know them on a personal level. I did not have a close personal relationship with this person. And so when this event happened, my initial thought was, I feel really, really sad. And due to the specific circumstances of what happened, I also had a lot of anxiety around it. And very, very quickly after that initial response to the news, I quickly told myself that I wasn't valid in feeling these things because I didn't really have a close personal relationship with this person. And to be sad could be perceived as grief thieving, stealing someone's trauma for attention and clout. I know that's ridiculous because literally all I was doing was just in my mind feeling sad, but my brain so quickly went you don't have the right to feel sad. You didn't know this person, you hardly spoke to this person, you can't sit here and be sad. Other people knew them and they could be sad. You can't be sad. And these feelings popped up like a bunch of times. And every time my brain would say, no, you're not allowed to be sad. Oh, schoolwork is hard for you because you're feeling emotional about this. Well, that's bullshit. Like, you can't feel emotional. You're using it as an excuse. Like, go to school, go through your day-to-day life. Like, you can't have this affect you because it's not fair for it to affect you. And I think I've been doing that a lot, where I have not been talking to anyone about it, about how I'm feeling. And I haven't really been talking to myself about how I'm feeling, because every time I do, my brain is instantly like, no, sorry. This is not for you. You can't be sad about this. Like, get over it, okay? Get over it. Do your essays, do your presentations, drive to school, be happy. Like, you're not allowed to be affected by it. I think as well as feeling emotional about this and then sort of just like repressing my feelings, this situation has also made me think very, very deeply about my own mortality. And like, for my whole life, I've just convinced myself that I'm immortal, you know? For my whole life, like, if I ever think of death, and I ever think of my own death, I am able to sort of like brush that off pretty quickly, because I'm like, I'm not gonna die. Like, I don't have to think about that anytime soon. Like, the world is at my feet. Like, I have so much time. I can do whatever I want, whatever pace I feel necessary to me. And, you know, if the day goes by and I don't feel like I've done anything, just move on to the next day. Like, that's fine. For my whole life, I've literally felt like I'm immortal. And this particular event has reminded me that that is just not the case. And so, as well as sort of trying to ignore it because I don't feel valid or worthy to be emotional about it, it's also changed this part of my brain where I'm suddenly so aware that like any day could be my last day. And that is really scary. And it's really hard to deal with that feeling when I'm like not letting myself confront the other feelings I'm having. You know, I don't know if that made any sense. I'm suddenly in this mindset where I have been thinking back on my whole life, and I don't think, maybe when I was a child, but I don't think since being like mid-teens to now, I don't think I've ever lived a day where I am just fully present and fully in the moment. I am always, always, always looking on to the next thing. And I feel like I'm just wishing my life away completely. Like, every time I achieve something that I have been waiting for forever, the minute I achieve it, my brain will start thinking about the next thing that I want to achieve. And then when I get to that, it'll start thinking about the next thing I want to achieve. And like, I have noticed that I am never ever proud of myself, and I'm never ever living in the moment because I can't be present. I am incapable of sitting in a moment and saying like, wow, okay, I feel super comfortable right now. I'm with my best friends, I'm with my husband, I'm sitting in this warm bed, I'm watching this movie that I love, like I'm drinking this cup of coffee this morning, which is like so great. Like, I feel like I am absolutely incapable of doing that, and all the time I am just thinking on to the next thing. Now that I have, you know, sort of been forced to look at my life and realize that my life is finite, like there will be an end at some point, which is, you know, morbid to think, but at the same time, I think it can be a really, really positive thing, because I feel like I'm never content. I feel like I'm never satisfied because I'm always chasing the next thing. Oh, I'm only going to be happy when I'm this weight, or I'm only going to be happy when I'm finally on summer vacation. I'm only going to be happy when I get this new top I really want. Like, I'm only going to be happy when I graduate. I'm only going to be happy when I have this amount of subscribers. Like, I'm only going to be happy when this. And it's like, first of all, we don't know if any of those things are ever going to really happen. And so to base your happiness on things that don't exist yet seems crazy, and it's something I do all the time, every day. And also, it's just like, I have not learned that, okay, maybe I want this one thing, but I haven't been able to remind myself that, okay, Rita, just to say, like, once you achieve that thing, like, you're probably going to figure out something else you want, and then you're just going to be living for that after. I was literally thinking the other day, like, the life I have right now is a life that I have dreamed of for years and years and years. Like, The things that I have achieved and the things that I have just been blessed with in my life are things that 15-year-old Rita would have been dreaming of. And I know because I like manifested a life that I wanted. And now I pretty much have that life. And I can't seem to sit and enjoy it. You know, it's not good enough for me yet. And I think that if I got to sit down with my 15-year-old self and say like, hey, like I've done all this stuff, she would be like, fuck, that's so cool. Like I can't wait to get there and live that life. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But like I'm in that life and I'm living it, but I'm not really living it. Like I'm just truly focused so much on what's next? What's next? What's the new thing? What are we going to get? Da, 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 da. And it's never like, what do I have? What have I achieved? What have I done already? How lucky am I? How grateful am I? It's never that. And I feel like I am just literally wishing my life away. And it's even things that I don't want to happen, you know? Like, for example, today I have this art presentation that I have to make. I fucking hate public speaking. I hate it so bad. And I've just been dreading doing this presentation for like ever since I knew it was coming up, you know? And because I just wanted it to be done, I wanted to get it over with. Like, I feel like I have been wishing away my life in that sense too, where I'm like, okay, I just want these days to go by quicker so I can just get this thing over with. And so like, I'm just trying to make the days go by faster so that this day can come and I can finish this presentation and then I don't have to think about it anymore. But it's just like, that is so crazy. Like, this presentation is going to be 5 minutes long. It's going to be nothing. Like, it's just a school presentation. Don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. How could you have been wishing days away, precious days that you should be enjoying and like be grateful for, just because you like are worried about a school presentation? Like, no, you should have been enjoying all of those days leading up to it. And you probably would have been much less stressed about it. Like, I have it in like an hour. I have to go and do this thing. And I just know that when I go and do it, it's going to be over in a second. And I would have just wasted basically a week of my life just wanting the days to go by faster just so I can get this little tiny insignificant thing over with. It's just like, what? You know? When I want something, I want life to go faster so I can get to it. And when I don't want something, I want life to go faster so I can get it over with. Like, I'm not living in the now. I am literally not living in the now. You know when you watch movies and it's about two people and they want to run away together and they come up with a plan and they have all these ideas and they're going to do the thing and they're really excited about it. And then the time comes when they actually like set a date to run away together and you're like, yes, finally they're going to do it. And then they're like, okay, let's do it tomorrow. Okay, let's meet tomorrow morning. And you're just like, no, do it now, because you just know something's going to go wrong and they're not going to be able to run away together because inevitably they're going to go home, they're going to plan to meet in the morning, and then something is going to go wrong. And it's just like, that is literally how I should be reacting to my life. Like, I should be saying like, don't wait till tomorrow. Let's just do it now. Let's just do it now, you know? If you want to be happy, let's just do it now, you know? You're not going to be happier when you lose weight, you know? Don't wait till your perfect weight to enjoy your life. Don't wait till you have subscribers to enjoy your life. Don't wait till you have these certain types of friends to enjoy your life. Like, sit down and feel grateful for everything that you have and enjoy those things, because I'll tell you something as well. Like, you don't know what you have till it's gone. And I think I take so much stuff for granted. And if I really sit and think about everything that I have and say like, oh, what happens if one day you don't have this? Like, do you think you appreciated it as much as you should have while you had it? And like, the answer for me is absolutely no. You know, like, even with school, like, I'm so fucking lucky to be going to college. And yes, it's a ball ache sometimes. And yes, I have to do homework and presentations and things that I don't want to do. But I am so lucky, you know, I go to this beautiful art school in California. Like, that is something that other people would dream of doing. And all I'm doing is wanting it to end, because I just like don't want to do the drive anymore. And I just like want to graduate and be done with it. But it's just like, I know that I did this with my high school life as well. I went to boarding school in England, and like, that was a little different. That was a little harder. I was an angsty teenager. Life was more difficult for me, I guess, back then. But now that I think back on it, I'm always like, wow, like, that was such a great experience. Like, and I don't think that I took it in ever. I think that I was just constantly like, for the 2 years that I was there, every day I was probably like, I can't wait for this to end. I can't wait for this to end. I can't wait for this to end. And I was not really like fully taking in all the experiences that situation could have given me, because I was just constantly wanting it to be finished, and I was constantly speeding up my life in order to get it done. And now I'm 27, I'm in college, a very voluntary thing, like no one made me do that. And I am sitting, wishing my life away, wanting these classes to be over, being so happy every time the weekend comes. But when the weekend comes, I just want the next week to come because I want to get that over with. And then when the weekend comes again, I just want the next week to come. And it's like, oh my God, like I am not sitting in the present. And it's like, okay, yes, maybe we're going to want to finish this one thing. But it's like, guess what? The next thing you do, you're going to move on to something else. And then you're either going to want that to finish, or you're not going to be able to enjoy it until you achieve something else. Like, it's so apparent to me now as I sit here and say it to you that I don't think that I have allowed myself to sit and enjoy life ever. Except for maybe possibly when I was a child, because children are free and happy, and most of them are not obsessed with achievement, are not obsessed with body image, are not obsessed with all of this shit. And so they're actually able to like sit and like play a game and be so happy in that moment. I have this vivid memory of being in Pennsylvania where my cousins live. And I remember I was like maybe 8 or 9. And I remember we were going to Dorney Park. I was having a sleepover in my cousin's house and we were going to Dorney Park. And I was so excited. We were going to sleep in the camper van that night. And then we were going to wake up in the morning all together and go to Dorney Park, which is a theme park in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, I think. I remember thinking, like, this is the best day of my life. I am so excited. Every single moment of that, from being in the camper van, falling asleep with my cousins, to waking up and going to Dorney Park, that was like the most fun I have ever had. And I remember being so in the moment then. I was not thinking about anything else. Like, I had reached the highlight of my life in that moment, like that was the most fun I've ever had. And I remember totally just being completely in it and like not wanting any of it to end, but not thinking about anything in the future at all, just completely enjoying every second of that weekend. I don't think I've ever done that since. That is like a core memory in my brain, and I don't know if it's a core memory because it's not that exciting, it's like whatever. To Dorney Park 100 times before, but for some reason specifically that time I went has been seared into my mind, and I'm now wondering, is it a cool memory because it was like the last time my brain was like, okay, you can enjoy yourself and just enjoy yourself now, or like we're not going to think about anything in the future or the past or anything, like just enjoy today. It's really sad, like I want my life to go faster, and I know I'm so lucky with everything I have. And I know I've achieved so much stuff and I'm going to achieve more, but like, why can't I just revel in the moments? Why can't I just say, hey, you did a really good job at school today. Like, let's relax and watch some TV and not have our brains going, okay, what next, what next, what next, what next, what next, what next, like I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do when I finish college. And I still have a year and a bit to go and I love my college. I have no problems being at college. I think there's also just a huge issue with like feeling like the next thing's always going to be better than what you have now. Like the grass is always greener on the other side. But how do we know that? This could be the most amazing moment of my life and I'm wasting it just trying to move on. How do I not know? How do I know that this is not the greatest moment of my life? And that shouldn't be a depressing thought. My life is fucking great. Like, I have great friends. I have great family. I live in the place that I've wanted to live my whole life. I go to a great school. I'm able to spend the day doing art, which is what I've always wanted to do. Like, this could very well be the most amazing part of my life. And I'm just letting it slip through my fingers every day. And I'm not taking it in at all. And, I also think that for me, I've always had this feeling of like needing to catch up kind of thing. And I always feel like I'm behind, and I always feel like I'm doing catch up. Like I feel like I'm having to work faster, go quicker, because other people my age are in the places in their careers and stuff like that I want to be in. And, you know, that's just a huge problem of me comparing myself to other people all the time, you know. Oh, this person is younger than me and they've achieved this, which is what I want to achieve too, so I can't be happy until I get to at least their level. But like, what if that never happens? Am I just never going to be happy? I'm just literally letting things in the future that do not exist dictate my happiness, and that can't be what I do. That cannot be the reality I live in. I am so freaking lucky for the life I have. I'm so lucky I woke up this morning. I'm so lucky I get to sit here in my little room and talk to you guys. I'm so lucky that I got to drink a cup of coffee this morning. I'm so lucky that I get to go do a presentation, you know? Like, I wanted to go to school for so long. Like, that's the other thing. You know, when I was applying for college, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be happy till I get into college. I'm not going to be happy till I get into college. Well, guess what? I'm in college now and I'm doing the exact same fucking thing. I'm trying to say, oh, I'm not going to be happy until I graduate college. I'm not going to be happy till I graduate college. Like, are you ever going to be happy? Are you ever going to just like enjoy yourself and live for the moment? Like, you have to start doing that now because you are 27 years old and it's getting boring, you know? I don't want to be 60 years old and be like, shit, I just wished all my life away. And I don't want to become older and say, oh, I would love to be able to go back and do it again. You know, I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel like I did it exactly the way I felt like I should. And like with the high school thing, I have moments where I'm like, I wish I could go back and do that again slightly differently. And I don't want to feel that about anything else. You know, I want to feel like I took every opportunity by the fucking balls and just did it, you know, and just lived it and wasn't fantasizing about future endeavors that may or may not happen. Like, I was just there in the moment. And I want to think back and say, like, I had the most amazing time at college and I took every second and I used it to my advantage. And I definitely can't say that I'm doing that now. I definitely cannot say that I'm doing that now. I definitely am trying to get things done, get things over with, you know, move on to the next thing, get the presentation done, get the homework done so I don't have to think about it anymore. Like, it's exhausting. And I think that the event that has taken place has made me really think about that on a much deeper level. And I haven't quite let myself reflect on it. Because again, my brain has been so obsessed with like, you can't be sad about this because you didn't know this person, like do. And so with that, I'm just ignoring everything about it, which also includes these thoughts where I'm like, I have to enjoy my life now because tomorrow is literally not guaranteed. And yes, we can say, okay, spend a day sort of being unproductive and stuff, like that's fine. It's not really to do with being unproductive. It's not anything to do with like getting shit done. It's actually kind of like the opposite of that. It's just like allowing yourself to relax. Like yesterday I tried to film a bit of a podcast and like I was so wrapped up in like needing it to be perfect and needing to get it done and stuff that I like literally set myself into a fucking frenzy about it. And I wasn't even enjoying filming. I wasn't enjoying like doing the thing. I was just totally obsessed with the fact that it had to be perfect because like when I posted it, I wanted people to see a perfect video. But it's just like, this podcast has nothing to do with that. Like the only reason you should ever do a podcast is because you enjoy doing it. You enjoy sitting down and talking. Like it should never be a chore. It should never be stressful, especially something like this where I'm just like literally chatting with you guys, you know, like it shouldn't be forced. There shouldn't be another goal to it. It should just be this. Like, this is the main part. This is the main bit, sitting here and talking. The main bit is not how many views I get. The main bit is not how many subscribers I get from it. Like, you know, if I'm dictating my happiness on that, I'm completely dictating my happiness on outside contributions, which, you know, you cannot rely on those things. The only person you can really rely on is yourself. And that is true. Like, how can I be dictating my happiness on people I've never met watching a video I made? You know? Like, I need to find happiness within myself and I need to find happiness with the now. And I need to just sort of fucking enjoy every moment I have, because I don't know when my last day is coming. And, you know, I don't want this to be like a fear-mongering podcast, and it shouldn't be. I think it's something that's really actually exciting to think about, because it gives us the opportunity to really reflect and be like, am I taking my life for granted? And I think with that, you know, I think with that realization and being able to fully enjoy every day, we're just going to be happier, you know? It's really hard to be happy when you constantly feel like you have stuff that you want and you don't have it. It's just a constant feeling of dissatisfaction and being unhappy, because, you know, people aren't happy. People can't be happy if they're thinking about something they want and they don't have it, because that's just a negative thought. That's just saying like, oh, I want this thing, I don't have it. Like, and that is what I'm dictating my happiness on. And so if I'm dictating my happiness on this thing that I don't have, how can I possibly be happy? And I think it's kind of a wonderful thing to have this moment and be like, hey, let's just like take a break for a second. Let's just pause and like genuinely ask ourselves if we're happy right now. And I can say for sure that I am not. I mean, I'm happy, you know, but I'm not like radiating, you know, like I don't wake up and say, oh, what a beautiful day. Like the birds are singing and my coffee tastes amazing and I'm so happy to be awake and alive right now. Like I'm not doing that. And I'm not saying we have to do that, but maybe a version of that where we just like remind ourselves of everything that we have right now, because we don't know when it's our last day. And we don't know if the next thing in our life is going to be better or worse. And I don't want to think back on my life and be like, oh, I wish I could have done that differently. And I also just want to be able to be happy now. It's exhausting feeling like I have to always reach forward and I have to always be completing something and then moving on to the next thing, and like not giving myself a moment to just like sit and enjoy myself and be proud of myself and like revel in the happiness that I have right now. And it's not an easy thing to do at all. Like our society wants us to constantly be moving and working and going and achieving and developing and progressing, and like that's fine, but as long as you're enjoying the journey as well, because you know the goal might not be as great as you think it is, and if you spend your whole life just chasing that goal and not enjoying anything that was going on during the journey to the goal, like that's going to be really sad and disappointing, because you would have spent your whole life focused on this one thing, and once you achieve it, like you might not feel as great as you think you would feel. And like I know that for a fact, like everything that I achieve, I sort of don't really feel happiness from, and that is probably purely because I just constantly think about what to do next. And I don't want to do that anymore. You know, life is so fast, life is so short, and I do not want to be just waiting for it to end. I want to like live and enjoy now and feel grateful for everything I have right now, because I have so much to be grateful for. And I think we all do. And I think to live a life where we're fully at peace with where we are right now and not always chasing something, then I think we're just all going to be so much happier and more content and just feel better, you know? I'm always feeling like I'm stressed. I always feel like I'm stressed, and I have literally nothing fucking to be stressed about. But I just like put this stress on myself because I've told myself that I'm not where I want to be in my career, or I don't know, my weight or relationships or whatever. And what was I saying? That is so weird. I just completely forgot what I was saying. I just wonder how we would live if we convinced ourselves every day that this was our last day on Earth. You know, what would you do? What would you do differently? What would you do differently? You know, how would you treat people? How would you treat yourself? Would you be thinking into the future even then? I think we have this expectation that life is going to go on forever. And I think that life can pass us by so fast. And before you know it, it's like 10 years have gone by and you can't even remember what you were doing because you weren't taking anything in. Your brain was constantly just in the future. Your brain was constantly just in fantasy because it was just living in a place that you weren't. And I just wonder, like, if I woke up every day and I said, like, oh, this could be your last day on earth, like, what would I do? I really don't know. And yeah, I don't know. I think we just have an expectation for life. And I think that we have an expectation that everything coming our way is going to be better than anything we've experienced yet. And like, that could be true. That could very well be true. You know, each thing in your life could get better and better and better. And I think it's okay to believe that. But what I don't think is okay is to rely on that, to dictate your happiness on that, because we don't know for sure whether it's going to be better or not. And we could just be living in the best moment of our lives right now, and all we're doing is wishing for it to be over, basically, because we just want the next thing to come along. But how do we know the next thing that comes along is going to be any better? And I don't think we want to sit in the future and say, hey, like, God, I remember when I was 25 and I just wanted to be older, or I just wanted life to go faster. Like, why did I do that? You know, I would do anything to go back and just live in that moment. I was so lucky then. How could I have wished for anything other than just being right there? And I am 100% convinced that if I let myself live like this and then I get older, I will be having these thoughts. I'll be saying, oh my God, all the things that I wanted, all the things that I wished for and dictated my happiness on, like, I don't even know about those things anymore. Like, I don't even care about those things. And I wished my whole life away in order to experience that thing, which now for me, like, doesn't even matter. And I didn't let myself enjoy the moment because I was so obsessed with all this other bullshit, you know? It's like a lot of the things that I want to achieve, like, I don't think my 80-year-old self is going to give a fuck, you know? And she's probably going to be like, hey, like, why at 27 were you not running around with your friends and drinking, like, soda, eating cake, and, you know, just reveling in that moment in the sun? Like, why weren't you doing that? Because now you're in a nursing home. If my future children are watching this, please don't put me in a nursing home. But, you know, it's like, I'm like getting to the point of realization that I feel like we're never, ever, 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 ever going to be satisfied until we force ourselves to sit and live in the moment. And it seems like such a simple thing, and it also seems like super cliche, like, live in the moment, you know, be present. And I like, yes, but possibly it's cliche for a fucking reason, because it's actually so important. And it's so important. And also, just a last minute thought, like, how do we expect future things, future endeavors to be great if we're not putting our all into the now, you know? Like, how do we expect everything's going to be better and bigger and more exciting in the future if right now we're not focused, we're not putting work in? Like, we have to be putting in work right now in order for things to get better. And in order to do the best job we possibly can, like, we have to be living in that moment. We can't be, like, drifting off into the future all the time. But yeah, that's all I really had to say. Just, if anyone has any tips that they do when they feel like their brain is sort of, like, drifting away from them, like, what do they do to bring themselves back in? Because I really don't know. I really don't know. And it's just something that I just want to do so bad. Like, you know, I'm so lucky right now I have all my family, but one day I might not. And, like, did I appreciate them as much as I could have when I had them? Like, you know, friends as well, family, like, school, everything. Like, I don't want to be with regret because I did not appreciate this wonderful life I have right now. I want to feel like I did it properly, because we only have one life and it's precious, you know? It's precious. We should do everything we love. We should be with whoever we want to be with. We should eat whatever we want to eat. We should just fucking enjoy ourselves, because life can be fucking hard, and in moments where we can find happiness, that is something we should be so grateful for. And I don't want to be pushing that away. I don't want to ignoring that, because how many happy moments do we get? you know? Anyway, just some food for thought. I love you guys so much. I have to go to school and do this presentation, which I'm really excited for, and I'm gonna have the best time, and it's gonna be wonderful, and I just can't wait. I just can't wait. It's gonna be great, you know? I love presentations. I love presentations. Okay, I love you guys so much. I love presentations, and I also love you guys very much. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. It's super helpful to me, and you can see every time I post anything. But I love you guys so much, and let's try and live in the moment together. All right, I love you guys. Bye.